Welcome back to Yang Daily. If you didn't catch yesterday's episode, please go back and listen to that first, as it has vitally important information for the YangGang and this podcast's future. If you're already caught up, then here's the short and skinny for today. Richard Porter laid down some hard math on Twitter today, explaining that setting aside just $2 per day for the next 4 years would allow each of us to be max donors for 2024. Last I heard, we had over 400,000 individual donors this cycle. That means if each of us committed just $2 a day for the next 4 years, we could start Yang's next campaign with over $1 billion. That is absolutely crazy. I think we had less than 60 million for the entire campaign this round, and we became the most favorable, most electable, and got a third of the national polling of the big dogs with that. We already talked last episode about turning time from our enemy into our ally. We could do the same with money. I want you to picture the next presidential primary starting and Andrew Yang walking into it with $1 billion and with half the country already yanged from our efforts of educating everyone we know and meet over the next 4 years. Everybody else would drop out on the spot. That is a guaranteed victory. Just by keeping these two efforts going between cycles, we can go down in the history books as the most epic political win ever. We have to make this happen. Split off a new bank account and set up an automatic deposit of $2 per day for it now, and let's make history together. Big thanks to Richard for putting this in perspective, and make sure you visit his Twitter thread to add your support and retweet it to the 4 corners of the globe. And don't forget to help yourself and the rest of us generate free cash by participating in the referral programs and other creative fundraising options in the links below. It's free money just waiting for us. Scott's Discord server, to help organize YangGang for continuing the push for UBI, is already up to over 1,700 members. IncomeMovement.com is another hub to keep up with the movement. They're organizing celebrations for Yang and the gang at the end of this month, and we should all join in and host. I think we can all use a little camaraderie at this point, and it'll also be a good opportunity to organize for efforts in the future. So far, there are official hosts in New York City, Atlanta, Kansas City, and Charlotte Hall. You can sign up to host YangGang at your own location at IncomeMovement.com. Scott also did a 2-hour interview with Paget yesterday, which you can find on her channel. They discussed what Yang is doing, what happened with the campaign, the media blackout, what Yang might do from here, Scott's thoughts on the other candidates, and everything else, where the YangGang and UBI movements are headed from here, and how amazed Scott is by the YangGang, and happy he is to finally have an army to support his push for UBI after 7 years of fighting the good fight alone. I've already covered all the highlights of the interview in this episode, but it's there if you want more depth on Scott's perspective, and it's a valuable perspective indeed. In case any of you don't know, Scott is where Yang got a large chunk of his policies and messaging from, including UBI, ranked choice voting, democracy dollars, and even the slogan of not left, not right, forward. Scott is the true godfather of this movement, and we all owe him dearly. I'll leave all his contact information in the links, including his email newsletter. Scott made the final update to his Yang Media Blackout article as well. It's quite a doozy, and it both ends and begins with MSNBC. Do try and make sure that everyone in your life takes a look at it, because people need to know how mainstream media are rigging our democracy. It's absolutely at the crux of why Yang did not win this cycle, and why we so rarely end up with citizen politicians or good politicians in general. We need to break their misplaced trust with the public. James Ellars, Democratic candidate for Congress in California's 8th District and running on the Freedom Dividend, is working on a tutorial for how to run for office so that we can get YangGang and more citizen politicians into power. It's not done yet, but I'll track it and hopefully let you know, or track James' Twitter yourself if this podcast does not have enough support to continue. James is also in need of your support. The more Congress people we can get in support of UBI, the easier it will be to pass. To that end, you can find a very helpful list of all the U.S. politicians running in support of UBI at congressional candidate Ryan Blevin's website in the links below. Lastly, the MindWave Podcast is collecting stories from YangGang on their reaction to the campaign. They've released the first episode with responses from 4 or 5 YangGang, which are pretty heavy. If you want to add your story or share your feelings, call and leave a message at 602-456-2253. That's in the links, of course. As the hosts say, these are YangGang's origin stories, and this is only the beginning of our movement. And here I said I'd be keeping it light this week. There's just too much going on out there, and there will continue to be. I hope this podcast will continue as well, as it's been transformative for me to be immersed in this movement for, half a year now. Time flies when you're changing the world, YangGang? All right, that's it for today's Yang Daily. Set up that bank account for 2024. Help us get the free money out of the referral programs. Sign up on incomemovement.com and host a Yang and Gang celebration in your area. Sign up for Scott's newsletter and Discord. Bookmark the UBICaucus site and give your support to all the politicians pushing for UBI there. Send your Yang story to MindWave. Email me at yangdailypodcast@gmail.com if this podcast continuing is worth a few bucks a month to you. And don't forget to Yang Daily.